Naomi Rivers thought she had Elon Musk trapped in a corner. She was ready to make him look bad in front of everyone. But then he said just one sentence and the entire room went silent. The hearing room was packed. Every single seat was taken and people were even standing in the back trying to watch. Reporters held their badges, whispering updates. Some had their phones out, recording every little thing. The hearing hadn't even started yet, but the air was thick with excitement. Outside, big news vans lined up on the street. On TV, news anchors were already speaking about what was coming. Elon Musk is here today to testify before the House Oversight Committee, one said. The richest man in the world, under oath, talking about free speech and the power of social media. Inside, Musk sat alone at a big table. He had no lawyer next to him, no team whispering advice. It was just him, a glass of water, and a stack of notes he barely even looked at. He wore a plain black jacket. No big logos, no fancy brands. His face was calm, his hands still, as if he had been here before and wasn't worried at all. People in the room whispered another name, Representative Naomi Rivers. She wasn't there yet, but she was already the talk of the room. She had a reputation, sharp, direct, and never afraid to challenge anyone. The moment people found out she was leading the questioning, they knew things were going to get intense. On Twitter, now called X, hashtags were trending. Hashtag Musk under oath, hashtag Rivers versus Musk, hashtag free speech test. 10 minutes later, a loud bang from the judge's gavel silenced the room. The hearing had officially begun. Musk sat still, looking straight ahead, his expression unreadable. The chairman spoke first. Mr. Musk, thank you for appearing today. We are here to discuss government accountability and the responsibility of tech companies. Before the chairman could continue, the doors swung open. Naomi Rivers walked in. Her hair was perfect, her bright red blazer standing out against the serious black and gray suits around her. She walked straight to her seat, never looking at Musk, but she knew the cameras were already on her. A staff member handed her some papers, but she barely glanced at them. Her eyes were locked on Musk. Musk watched her too. He wasn't intimidated, just curious. The chairman kept talking about misinformation, government influence, and how social media shapes what people believe. But everyone in the room knew what this was really about. Control. Who controls the internet? Who controls what people are allowed to say? Who controls the truth? Musk had bought Twitter and flipped the rules upside down. The government wasn't used to that. Some people saw him as a hero fighting for free speech. Others thought he was making the internet worse, giving dangerous voices a bigger stage. But no matter what side people were on, one thing was clear. Musk wasn't backing down. The chairman finally finished. Mr. Musk, you have 5 minutes for your opening statement. Musk leaned toward the microphone. His voice was calm and steady. I believe in free speech. Not just speech that's easy to hear, but speech that challenges us. If free speech only protects words we like, then it's not really free. My goal with X is to create a space where people can share their thoughts without fear. There was no dramatic pause. No fancy speech. Just a simple statement. And with that, the real battle began. Naomi Rivers didn't waste a second. She leaned forward, her voice sharp. Mr. Musk, she said, you claim to care about free speech, but your platform is full of hate, lies, and dangerous misinformation. You say you're protecting speech, but what you're really doing is giving a voice to people who spread harm. No warm-up. No small talk. She went straight for the attack. Musk turned his head toward her, his expression calm. Congresswoman, that's a serious accusation. But I believe what you just said proves why free speech is important. People need to see what others truly think, even if they don't like it. Rivers didn't blink. Oh, I've seen it, and you know what I see? I see white supremacists getting blue check marks. I see conspiracy theories pushed to the top of people's feeds. I see threats of violence, and yet those accounts stay online. Is that your idea of progress? Musk looked down for a moment, then backed up. He was still calm. Progress is messy, he said. So is freedom. But censorship? That's easy. Just delete anything you don't like, right? Rivers leaned in. You're twisting this. No one is asking you to delete people for having opinions. We're asking why dangerous voices get amplified. Hate speech is not the same as free speech. Do you not see the difference? People in the room shifted. The hearing was being streamed live. Clips were already being shared online, millions watching the battle unfold. Musk still didn't raise his voice. The problem is, who decides what is hate speech? You. The government? The same government that has secret programs trying to control what people see online? If the government decides, then we aren't protecting democracy, we're managing it. Silence. The words hung in the air. Rivers's eyes narrowed. Oh, so now you're the victim? The billionaire CEO of one of the biggest social media companies in history is just a poor guy fighting against the government? Musk almost smiled but didn't. I'm not claiming to be a victim, he said. I'm pointing out a principle. When powerful groups start deciding which opinions are allowed and which aren't, that doesn't just stop with extremists. Eventually, it silences anyone who is inconvenient. Rivers scoffed, flipping a page in her notes. That's rich, coming from a guy who banned a teenager for tracking your private jet. Musk tilted his head slightly. I didn't ban him. I temporarily suspended an account that shared my real-time location. That's a safety issue, not a speech issue. Let's not mix them up. Rivers shot back. So you decide what's safe. You decide what's allowed. You act like a king on your digital platform and we're just supposed to accept it. Musk leaned back slightly. I make decisions, yes, but not based on politics. I base them on principles, the same principles this country was founded on, even if people forget them sometimes. The air in the room was heavy now. The back and forth was like a game of tug-of-war. No one knew who the public would side with, but one thing was clear. This was bigger than just two people arguing. One was fire. The other was ice. But somehow the ice wasn't melting. Rivers's voice rose. You are playing with fire, Mr. Musk. People on your platform are getting radicalized. They believe lies, they spread them, and they act on them. That's not freedom, that's chaos. Musk stayed firm. His voice is steady. Congresswoman, what you call chaos, I call reality. And when you try to hide reality, people stop trusting the system. Everyone held their breath. The room was so quiet you could hear a pin drop. But Naomi Rivers wasn't done yet. And what she said next would set everything on fire. Mr. Musk, she said, her eyes locked onto him. Since you took over this website, has the amount of false information increased? Elon Musk didn't blink. His expression stayed calm. That's not a simple yes or no question. It depends on what you call false information. The government has been caught calling true things false just because they didn't like them. So, whose truth are we talking about? Ms. Rivers frowned. She didn't like that answer. I'll take that as a yes. Musk shook his head slightly. You can take it however you want. But just changing the question to fit your answer doesn't make it true. Somewhere in the back of the room, someone chuckled. A few reporters gripped their pens tighter, writing even faster. The air in the room was tense. Ms. Rivers, however, was not smiling. You've created a website where people feel like they can say the most horrible things, she accused. They feel safe doing it because you've made it clear there are no rules, no limits. Just chaos. Musk tilted his head slightly like he was thinking. Then he said, and yet people still come. Millions of them. Because this is one of the last places where they can speak their minds without their words being filtered through layers of government-approved ideas. She narrowed her eyes. Do you realize how reckless that sounds? Musk didn't waver. His voice remained steady. No. It sounds honest. For a brief moment, the room fell silent. But the quiet only made the tension stronger. The chairman, the man in charge of the meeting, shifted in his seat. He looked like he was about to say something but then decided against it. Ms. Rivers sighed. But it wasn't a normal sigh. It was the kind of sigh someone lets out when they are frustrated, when they feel like the person they are arguing with just doesn't get it. You act like you're some kind of hero, Mr. Musk, she said. But let's be honest. You're just another rich man who bought a big megaphone. And now you want to call it a revolution. Musk leaned forward slightly, his eyes still on her. I didn't buy a megaphone, he said. I bought a battlefield where both sides get to speak. For a second, just a second, Ms. Rivers's mouth twitched, like she was caught between disbelief and anger. Then she came back fast. You allow people to spread lies about elections, she snapped. Lies about vaccines. Lies about school shootings, real tragedies that have devastated families. You let people turn those tragedies into entertainment. Musk nodded slightly. I also allow people to question things, he responded. Because when questions get silenced, people stop trusting. Not everyone who speaks is right. But silencing them doesn't mean they stop thinking. It just means they stop believing in the people who silence them. Ms. Rivers's voice turned colder. You sound like a man who's never lost someone because of lies. Musk paused. For the first time, there was a moment of hesitation. I've lost a lot, he finally said. But I've never lost the ability to think for myself. And I won't take that away from anyone else either. The room shifted. Some members of the committee leaned back. A few exchanged glances. Others remained stone-faced, their expressions unreadable. Ms. Rivers flipped the page in her notes. Her voice rose again, sharper this time. You claim this is about principles, she said. But let's be real. You love the attention. The chaos benefits you. The headlines, the controversy, it's all good for your brand, isn't it? Musk didn't answer right away. He just looked at her, his expression unreadable. Then he said, if I wanted applause, I wouldn't be sitting here. Silence. This time Ms. Rivers had no quick comeback. She hesitated just long enough for the room to notice before adjusting her microphone. The chairman leaned in to speak, but he paused. He could sense that the room wasn't ready to move on yet. Musk leaned back slightly in his chair, his hands still folded. I don't enjoy conflict, Congresswoman, he said. I'd rather build things. But if speaking plainly means being dragged into hearings like this, so be it. I'll still show up. But Ms. Rivers wasn't finished. And the next thing she said turned the room from tense to boiling. She gripped her microphone like she was afraid it might escape her hand. Her voice sharpened. So let me get this straight, she said. You're just a simple guy sitting in a seat of power telling everyone else how they should interpret reality? Musk raised an eyebrow. No, he said. I built a platform and said, speak your mind. That's very different. She shook her head, almost laughing. You're just playing with words, Mr. Musk. You claim to be neutral, but your website makes the worst voices louder. Because outrage pays, doesn't it? Musk's expression didn't change. I didn't design the platform to spread outrage, he said. I changed it to reduce manipulation. And as for the worst voices, the ones people try hardest to silence are usually the ones we should be listening to. Her voice turned mocking. That's poetic, she sneered. Do you come up with these lines before bed, or do they just pop into your head while dodging responsibility? For the first time, Musk didn't answer right away. He just looked at her. Then he spoke into the microphone, his voice quieter but heavier. Congresswoman, he said, it's not dangerous to let people speak. It's dangerous when one side decides what's okay to say. That's how freedom dies, not with a bang but with silence. That line cut through the hearing like a snapped string. The room went still. Even Ms. Rivers blinked. Behind her, a few members of the committee shifted in their seats. An assistant put down his pen. Another looked up from her laptop, pausing mid-typing. It was subtle, but the weight in the room had shifted. Ms. Rivers, caught in that tiny moment of stillness, tried to reclaim control. Don't turn this into a movie, Mr. Musk, she snapped. This isn't a script. This is real life. People are dying because of lies spread online, and you're sitting here acting like a philosopher. Musk didn't flinch. It is real life, he said. And that's exactly why it matters when people are afraid to speak. Even if they say the wrong thing, stopping them doesn't stop their thoughts. It just stops trust. She slapped her hand against her stack of notes. You know who doesn't get to hide behind fancy words? She snapped. The families of shooting victims who see their kids turned into hashtags for clout. The nurses who get harassed because someone read one too many conspiracy posts on your site. You give cowards a megaphone. Musk's voice remained steady. No, he said. I give everyone a mirror. What they do with it, that's on them. The chairman raised his gavel to cut in, but Ms. Rivers was already leaning forward again. You're hiding behind freedom because it's convenient, she accused. But the truth is, you don't care who gets hurt as long as you don't have to answer for it. You want to be the rebel who breaks the rules but never takes the fall. A beat passed. Then Musk leaned into the mic. His voice was low. With respect, he said, your issue isn't with misinformation. It's with not being able to control the message anymore. That hit like a shockwave. Some gasped softly. Others sat back, eyes widening. It wasn't loud, but it was loud enough. Ms. Rivers stared at him, her eyes burning. Excuse me? Musk didn't repeat it. He didn't need to. The silence said everything. Rivers started speaking, her voice growing louder with each word. Her hands shook as she gripped the microphone tightly. You're twisting everything I say, she shouted. You're just trying to sound smart so you don't have to take responsibility. The chairman banged his gavel. Order. Order, Representative Rivers, he called out, trying to regain control of the room. But Rivers wasn't finished. This man is tricking us all right now, she continued, pointing across the room. And he's pretending it's some noble thing. More banging. Congresswoman, this is a formal hearing. But Musk, the man sitting across from her, didn't flinch. He didn't argue. He didn't even move. He simply stared ahead as if the chaos around him didn't affect him at all. His face stayed the same, his breathing didn't change. He didn't have to say anything. The cameras were already rolling. The video of this moment was already being uploaded and shared. The world was watching, every second of it. But inside the chamber, something even bigger was growing. And Musk was about to feel the full weight of it. By the time Elon Musk stepped out of the hearing room, the world had already made up its mind, again and again. The halls of the Capitol were wide, with marble floors that echoed under his steps. Behind him, his aides tried to keep up, peppering him with questions. "Mr. Musk, should we? Do you want us to? What's our next?" But Musk didn't stop. He didn't rush either. He just walked, calm and steady, like a man who knew this was far from over but wasn't afraid of what came next. Outside, the energy was buzzing. A group of college students from Baltimore State had gathered behind metal barricades, their phones out, eager to catch a glimpse of Musk. Two of them held up handmade signs. One read, "Free speech isn't optional." The other said, "Platforms aren't publishers." Reporters pushed through the crowd, eager to get one last word. A journalist from Des Moines news station shoved a microphone forward. "Mr. Musk, do you regret anything you said there today?" Musk stopped just for a moment. He turned, looked the reporter in the eye, and answered simply, "No. If I regret anything, it's that we're having this conversation so late." And then he kept walking. By noon, the confrontation had taken over every news channel. It wasn't just on the big stations, CNN, Fox, MSNBC. It was on local networks too. People in Flagstaff, Mobile, and Toledo were watching and rewatching the clip. One particular clip, posted by a podcaster in Tulsa, had already hit 3.2 million views before the hour was over. The caption read, "He didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to." Online, opinions were divided. Some people said Naomi Rivers had exposed Musk as a billionaire who didn't care about accountability. Others said she had proved his point, that shouting louder doesn't make you right. But what made the video so powerful wasn't just what was said. It was how it played out. Musk's stillness, his refusal to argue, unsettled people in different ways. On a public radio show in Santa Fe, two media professors debated the moment. One praised Rivers. She was holding power accountable. She wasn't going to let him get away with anything. The other professor disagreed. "Look, if one person looks calm and collected while the other looks like they're on fire, it doesn't matter how right you are, you've already lost the room." Meanwhile, over at Tesla's headquarters in Fremont, California, employees gathered in the break room to watch the clip. Not because they had to. Not because it was mandatory. But because they were curious. Some of them chuckled at the memes spreading across Slack channels. Others just watched in silence. "He doesn't talk like a politician," one employee said. "He doesn't talk like a CEO either," another replied. By evening, late-night talk show hosts had already started rewriting their monologues to include the moment. In Phoenix, a Vietnam veteran named Paul Ramirez sat in his recliner, arms crossed, watching the hearing replay on his television. He didn't usually care about tech billionaires. But something about the way Musk had handled himself made him lean forward. "That guy doesn't blink," he muttered to no one in particular. Across the country, people who normally didn't care about congressional hearings were watching this one. It didn't feel like boring government talk. It felt like something else. Like two different worlds clashing. A podcast in Kansas City summed it up best. This wasn't just about tech. This was about control. Who has it? Who wants it? And who isn't afraid to lose it? By then, Representative Rivers had already gone home. Her staff was busy answering calls and emails, trying to handle the flood of attention. Some people praised her for standing up to Musk. Others said she let emotion take over. A newspaper in Arlington wrote, "Rivers came to win. Musk came to remind us it wasn't a game." But while the headlines screamed, the real moment was happening away from cameras. Later that evening, in a quiet side office on the third floor of the Capitol, Elon Musk sat across from Representative Colin Mercer, a longtime moderate who was known more for listening than talking. No cameras. No microphones. Just two chairs, a desk, and the last flickers of daylight coming through the window. Mercer poured 2 fingers of iced tea into a glass and slid it across the desk. "That got heated," he said simply. Musk gave a faint smile. "It usually does when the conversation is real." Mercer leaned back. "You didn't even flinch when she came at you." "I don't take it personally," Musk replied. "I know what this is. She's fighting for what she believes in. And so am I." Mercer nodded. "You don't think some of the stuff people say on your platform is dangerous?" Musk took a sip of his tea. "Oh, it absolutely is. But so is silence. So is deciding who gets to speak based on whose feelings we want to protect. The moment we start filtering reality to make people comfortable, we lose the truth entirely." Mercer was quiet for a long time. Then he asked, Do you think the government is scared of the truth? Musk tilted his head slightly. I think some people are scared of losing control. And the truth has a funny way of stripping power from people who depend on illusion. The silence that followed felt heavy but not uncomfortable. Musk stood up, walked over to the window and looked out at the city below. The lights were turning on. Washington wasn't sleeping anytime soon. You know, he said, I didn't buy X to make friends. I didn't even buy it to make money. I bought it because the world needs places where people can argue, mess up, and grow. Not curated playgrounds, real places with real risk. Mercer exhaled. You realize how rare it is to hear someone say that in this building? Musk turned back. That's part of the problem. As he grabbed his coat and headed for the door, Mercer added, You know she's going to be trending for days, right? That line you dropped, it's already on t-shirts. Musk shrugged. People remember simple truths. They don't need to be shouted at. And then he walked out. Because the truth doesn't always roar. Sometimes it just waits for the noise to end. And when it does, it's still there. If you like this story, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Leave a comment below and let me know what you think. And don't forget to subscribe for more thrilling adventures, mysteries, and unforgettable moments. Your support keeps these stories alive and the creativity flowing. Thanks for watching. I can't wait to see you in the next video.